Hello everybody and welcome back to another Schlip on Switch video. With the release of the Switch 2 swiftly approaching, I thought it would be fun to make a series of videos going through all the incredible games that Nintendo has given us. From first-party releases to third-party games that Nintendo published in North America, to first-party IP that Nintendo let third-party developers give us amazing experiences for. The Switch really has an incredible library, and I'll be making a series of videos going through all these year by year. This intro will be the same for all of them, so if you've already seen it, you can skip ahead, or you can watch it again, and each video will be linked in the description below, so subscribe, ring the bell for notification on future videos, and let's get started. I will be focusing only on the games, steelbooks, and the collector editions. While I do have a lot of amazing merchandise from a lot of incredible sources, I'll be only focusing on said products. So let's get started. And now, for the first game of 2024, Nintendo gave us Another Code Recollection.
Talk about a curveball there.
Chaim, do you want to join this one?
I also brought a prop this time. This is my OG DS copy of Trace Memory, otherwise known as Another Code 2 Memories, as it was in Europe and overseas.
So, Another Code Recollection is a remake of two games. We had Trace Memory, as it was called in the US, but for the rest of this video, we are going to be calling it Another Code 2 Memories, because that's how it refers to it in this package. And it also gave us a remake of the sequel for that game on the Wii, which was called Another Code R Journey into Lost Memories.
Yes.
Now,
which we never saw in North America for some strange reason.
So it was really awesome to get that game released for the first time in North America. Now, I know you're thinking North America that doesn't look English. Yeah, I have the Japanese copy of this game for various reasons. It was also a good price. And it does play fully in English.
We love a good price here.
Now, I have not really heard about Another Code prior to this release.
Oh, I knew it when it came out day one. I knew it when it came out day one. When I had my DS, I got it that one holiday season. It was the first game I played. Either that or Trauma Center Under the Knife. I can't remember. This game left such an impact on me because A, it had a lot of puzzle solving, kind of like Layton, for you and Layton. But this gave us a story with like more cutscenes. It gave us closer to 3D problem solving and 3D immersion. Granted, it was like a top-down perspective. We were looking down on things, and I think they did a really good job updating it to keeping a similar point-and-click feel, but something that feels very new with actual voice acting and a deeper connection to the source material.
So, this was my first experience with the game. I didn't play it when it released, but I did go through the entire package a few months ago, as of recording this, about a bit over a year after this game released. Now, the game has a little bit of an interesting setup where it's a remake/reimagining of those two games, where it combines the two games into one experience, but also separates them. You have to play through the first game to access the second game.
Which makes sense.
And there was no going back to replay chapters. So I missed the collectible, and there was no way to get it unless I played the entire game again.
It's not like you're playing for an achievement like you are in PlayStation, like some of us.
I know, but I really wanted it. I really loved, like, the collectibles were, like, tapes or letters that gave you more background, and I missed one, and I was very upset that I missed it.
There's also the fact that the game does have, like, a little bit of a multiple ending type thing. If you don't remember, because I know the original DS version had like a different ending from what was there. So
the Switch version only has one ending. There's no multiple endings in the Switch version.
Because they probably steer you to getting the one ending.
And also the second game that was on the Wii, they did change the story for that game and made it. You know, they changed the story.
And so they should if they wanted this to be a continuing franchise. I totally had no idea this was in the works, that this was in their veritable pipeline.
Did you play through this entire package?
I haven't yet. I start a lot of games that I don't finish because I don't have the attention span for them. It's one of the reasons why, if I say something out there, I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I can play a little bit and feel like I'm not having to do everything. Which is the detriment for games like this, where you forget things if you don't play them. But it's kind of interesting because at the end of a chapter, as you would in the DS version, you had like a memory thing of like what you remember from that chapter. Did they have that? I don't remember.
They didn't have it in this one,
But they definitely
because
had it in the DS.
it was more streamlined. This game is not long. That's also another thing.
That's a problem for me.
You could get through this entire package in probably 10 to 12 hours. And I think that's a very good length for a adventure story game.
But that's also sad, because the game itself, when I played it, took me a lot longer than that to figure out the puzzles and to think about this and scratch my head. And I loved that because it had like actual brain sweat.
The puzzles in this version are apparently a lot easier than they were in the original versions of the game.
The original had like one where you blew into it, where you had to like close your screen. There were a lot of cool puzzles where we had to like look at your DS like an open book.
So many good features. I miss the DS.
I miss the DS, but I don't miss the original DS that had the weird sides that were really uncomfortable to hold long time.
I do really want to play through the DS version of this game at some point.
Well, it's right there. You can do that.
I will, eventually.
So it's not that long. It's not going to take you 12 hours.
I did really enjoy this package. The voice acting was really good. The characters models were amazing. The visuals were good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful visual style that's kind of cel shading, but not cel shading.
I do have some critiques of it. One of them that I already mentioned was the fact that there was no replayability, chapter select, and no way to go back and get what you missed.
I don't really think it needed that, because that was the way it was designed. It's not like older Mario. It's not like older Assassin's Creed where you can go back and redo something. Although there's that one thing in Mario 64 that the second time you meet Bowser, there's a specific thing that you can't go back and redo because for some reason it's not there.
Chapter select in story-heavy adventure games is pretty standard, I think. For replay value if you want to go back and see certain moments again. But
not every game has it.
Another small critique I have is because the game is two games combined into one, that part where you get to the second game, I felt like it didn't master that flow of making it feel into a new game. It was the same game, but besides the fact that the story and location changed, it had that new game feel where you don't have all your tools at
Well, that's how it's supposed to feel, because it's still two separate games.
I would have
It's
loved...
not like Banjo-Kazooie to Banjo-Tooie, where you retained all your moves and all of that, and then you added to them.
If they had, when you booted up the game, select which game you wanted to do, and it had that, I would have zero issue. But because they combined it into one game, then they could have made some small... Because it was a new game, they could have made some small tweaks to make that flow a little bit better. But that's just a small critique. I absolutely love the game, and
I think it was a masterpiece from what I've played of it. From what I remember of it, it's a beautiful translation from a physical handheld game to an actual console game. I really, really hope that this inspires a third game in the series. I really hope it gets more.
And, with my life, I'm not able to sit down and play games all day. I rarely have that opportunity. And I played this game while I was on vacation. Sorry. And I was glued to my Switch for 3 days just playing through this entire game. It was perfection. I loved that.
I loved it when I was playing it. I remember I was back home with my family and I was just sitting there playing and just mesmerized looking at it, thinking it's a game that I have played, but a game that feels so different from what I've played in a good way. It's like making a game better, which is such a strange concept when you do a remaster, that it's actually better, which is a common theme, I think.
So, another Code Recollection. Let us know your experience with this franchise, whether you played the originals, whether you played the remake, whether it's on your backlog. Let us know what you think about it, because Ashley Mizuki is awesome, and I'd love to see more of her in
I'd love to see more of her too.
So yeah, let's discuss it in the comments, and now for the next one. Alright, next up on February 16th, we got Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Now this game is a remake of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy Advance. And it's a pretty faithful remake. I think they might have added a few things, I'm not 100% sure. But otherwise it's a very faithful remake, and I loved this release. Now, I picked up the original game for my Game Boy once, and I really liked it. I never finished it there, but I had a lot of fun playing through it then. and going through the levels, doing the mini Marios. Kept me company on a lot of long car rides and driving my father nuts when he was trying to nap at a rest stop, and I'm just sitting in the back playing on the Game Boy. And he's like, turn the volume off. I'm like, there's no headphones. Anyways. And then later on, I bought the DSiWare game. I had a ton of fun with that, with the level editor especially. And I was really excited to see the franchise return on the Switch with this amazing remake. And the visuals of the remake are just incredible, beautiful, beautiful visuals. And I had a blast playing through these more puzzle-style levels. We have to play as Mario, get through the levels, find the keys, rescue the mini Mario toys, then lead them through a maze at the end. And then the fights with Donkey Kong are so much fun in this one. Really, 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 really fun game. And I want to play more of the bonus levels at the end, though, the post-game stuff. And I'll get to that eventually. So just really, really fun release, and really happy that it exists. So if you played this, let me know in the comments what you thought of the game, and let's discuss it. All right, now let's see what the next game is. It's showtime, and by that I mean Princess Peach showtime. On March 22nd, we got Princess... Oh, hi, Chaim.
Hi.
March 22nd, we got Princess Peach showtime. Definitely one of the most interesting Nintendo releases from this year.
That was another curveball. No one saw another Super Princess Peach successor.
I was really excited when this one got announced because when I was younger, I borrowed Super Princess Peach on the DS from a friend, and I loved it. I was excited to see a new adventure with Princess Peach at the lead.
But there's no Mario, which felt so strange in this one.
And while this game was not what I hoped it would be, I still loved it.
It sets a good precedent that Peach has a game, and that there's now justification for there to be a franchise for Peach. Because the Mario series gave us the Mario games and whatnot and Yoshi, but it also gave us now a Luigi's game since Luigi's Mansion. And this gives me hope that maybe there's a franchise in the making with this one.
Now, in this game, you play as Peach, who goes to the theater, and I love the theater.
Yes, we do.
And
Don't you see all the Phantom of the Opera stuff behind us?
Unfortunately, there's no Phantom references in this game.
I mean, there are some masks. And costume changes.
There is really cool how, you're in the theater and there are so many different costumes and gameplay styles that Peach goes through. There's a wide variety of different play styles and costumes, and it was so much fun playing through them all and exploring the levels and seeing all the different costumes that there are.
Can we talk about how ridiculous the sparkle gems in this were? They were so ridiculously hard to get, some of them.
So I did not get all of them. I just played through most of the levels once, some of them 2 times. I did play every single level and beat the final boss. Did you do that?
I didn't. Again, I don't finish most games I start. Very rarely do I.
And I had a lot of fun playing this. The game is a little rough around the edges, but that didn't bother me too much.
I think it's supposed to be rough around the edges because I think they weren't sure what to do with this one, and I don't fault them for it.
Now, one of my biggest complaints for the game, and this is going to be a spoiler alert, is I was hoping that the final boss would be a massive gauntlet of all the different costumes and gameplay styles, but it wasn't. It was just a new costume that was just kind of underwhelming. Because some of the other bosses in this game were so much fun.
But not all bosses are supposed to be like that. Some games are supposed to be anticlimactic. With no spoilers, the end of Assassin's Creed Origins is extremely anticlimactic. If you played the DLC, that second DLC...
Okay, we're not talking about Assassin's Creed right now.
I'm just saying, not every game has to have a climactic boss at the end.
But this... Yeah, so I loved most of the boss in this game, and the final boss, well, it was fun, but it wasn't as awesome as I was hoping it to be. But this game has
I expected better because Luigi's Mansion 3 had a decent end boss. Dark Moon had a not great boss.
More on that later. But, yeah, I enjoyed this game. It's really cute. It's really fun. I would love to see how they would expand this idea in the future.
So what do you give it out of 10, would you say?
I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 6 to a 5 out of 10 because I wanted better. I felt the game should have been longer for the price they sold it for.
I felt the length was pretty good. You didn't finish it, so you don't realize how much there is to it.
I mean, not every level is super long. I've played games where each level is heftier.
Yeah, but I feel like each costume has 3 levels, and I feel like that was a good amount. because with the amount of costumes you have, and most of them having 3 levels, some 2
Mhm.
levels, most of them have 3 levels. I felt like that was a really good amount, and it was a lot of fun. There's some good replayability in there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it is nice to go back and see the levels because there's cute little stories. But I guess I wanted them to be a little longer. And I would have rather maybe, from
Now-
what I've seen, that there'd be less, but there'd be longer.
One thing I should have said in the beginning is this game definitely was not geared to men in their late 20s, early 30s. This was definitely geared towards kids.
People that have never played a video game before should probably play this one.
And, the fact that, our demographic is we have different opinions on it, but I loved it, and I think it's
I
great
enjoyed
for
it.
kids.
I think it's a
and
good game for kids too.
It would have been nice if there was some multiplayer aspects that parents could play with their kids, but
Or
this
like friends
was
could have had
single
like a
player.
Princess Peach party, like a super peachy peach party.
Yeah. But a very, very cute release. I did also get the Japanese copy for this game. But
Again,
just
new
saying,
in your Japanese cover.
sometimes they're just cheaper. And sometimes they come with steelbooks, but this one was just one of the ones that was just cheaper.
Do you still have a steelbook for it?
There was no steelbook for this one.
I bet you're sad about that one.
I kind of am, actually. But yeah, Princess Peach Showtime. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this game. Because we loved it. Or I loved it, and you loved
I
it.
enjoyed it.
So, let's discuss this in the comments, and now let's see what's up next. Next up, on May 2nd, we got Endless Ocean Luminous, or as this version is called, Forever Blue Luminous. Now, we discussed at some point, actually probably after this in the video, because I, recording this out of order, but we spoke a little bit later in this video about how some of the games that released some of the remakes went to the European versions of the names instead of sticking with the US versions. Previously we spoke about Another Code Recollection, and later on in this video we'll have Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So Forever Blue Luminous, this is the Japanese copy. In the US, and I think also Europe, was called Endless Ocean Luminous. So we did have the discrepancy there. This looks like a cute little ocean exploring game. Chill vibes. I didn't end up playing this myself. I did get the Japanese copy a lot cheaper, so that's what I went for. So if you play this game, let me know in the comments what you think of it. And now, let's see what the next game is. Next up, on May 22nd, we got one of the most anticipated Nintendo Switch releases of all time, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
Thousand-Year Door. Paper Mario, Thousand-Year Door.
Can I have my GameCube copy back, please?
I have my copy at home. This is still my copy.
Well, this is my copy with my memory card with my save data.
What if I erase it? Is it your save data?
Do not erase my save data. You can have my copy for now. Now, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is just an absolutely incredible release and a remake of the GameCube original.
My precious.
And it is the only
precious.
GameCube game that I own. I never owned a GameCube, but I had a Wii, and I only ever bought 2 games for that. Sonic Forces, which I returned. Sorry, not Sonic Forces. Sonic Heroes, which I returned, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, which...
Precious.
That is technically not my original copy, because it got lost in my parents' house, and I rebought, but it is my original case and my original memory card. Now, we also both have our Switch copies of the game.
And there's also a wonderful recreation of a GameCube controller, but sadly does not have vibration and is not a wireless controller.
So are you going to wait to continue playing this till you have the Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controller?
I'm going to play it before then, and yes, I am actually going to finish this. I still have so many words about Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, like, I don't have enough words in the English, French, Italian, or German language to express how I feel about this.
Now, I never finished it back in the day on the GameCube, and I was ecstatic to be able to play it in handheld on my Switch, wherever and whenever I want, and I was hooked. It was just so...
It's the best game that Nintendo has ever given us. It is, like, the best game, because it took a game we all know and loved, Paper Mario for N64,
so
and injected so much world building and character building in the game. There's so much depth to it. And it took a system that we all loved and made it even better, which none of us thought was possible.
If you want to watch me make him mad, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is not the best Nintendo Switch game from 2024, and we are not going to fight anymore on that. His opinion is different than mine, and games are awesome.
Yes,
but
they
I
are.
will say later
but this
on,
is the most awesomest game that there is.
This game is a very close second for me, due to the fact that if this was an original game that came out on the Switch, it would have been better than the other game. But that other game just completely blindsided me and took me by surprise.
And what game was that?
I will talk about it when we're ready to talk about it.
This game, though, every level did not feel like a reskin of a Paper Mario level. Everything felt so fresh, the partners felt fresh, and what was more in this game, not every Toad looked the same. Like in Origami and Sticker Star and in Color Splash, which were abysmal games because everyone looked the same. This was amazing because every character felt different. The world felt lived in. There were bosses that had like a story kind of to them. There were characters that had a whole story arc. Some of them had like a story arc that was several chapters. The game had so much lore and building that it really needed a sequel. Then you get Super Paper Mario, which was, great music, great sound in general, great story, but the game really sucked. Like, I have no nostalgia for it, aside from the music. This game gives us everything we wanted. It gave us a story that had a higher ending at stake. You have the fate of the entire world, literally. Not just the fate of the Mushroom Kingdom. It's like, you get the incorporation of what was in Super Mario Sunshine, and you get it in this, that the Pianta's having a role in there. Mario casually gets involved in, WWF fighting. He casually gets involved in the Mafia. He gets involved in, like, some high-stakes, train things. But we won't say more than that. But the whole game has, again, a beautiful hub world that gets bigger and bigger as you play the game. Just like Rosalina's Comet Observatory did in Galaxy. Just like Super Mario 64 did with Peach's Castle. The game had such a beautiful hub world with music that I could still think about for hours. And when we got this beautiful Switch edition of this game, it mostly did the job. I didn't like some of the dialogue being changed because there were some really funny bits, and Goombella is my entire personality because she is so snarky, and I am here for it. Nintendo gave us multi-dimensional characters. Despite everyone being flat, there was so much personality to these characters. Despite a paper-thin game, all that character. But then you get to Color Splash, zero personality. You get to Sticker Star, there was like so little personality. And in Origami King, you got a little more three-dimensional, but you missed the depth that having a partner had. And yes, you had them in Super Paper, but you didn't have them to the same extent because pixels have, like, almost no personality, and they're the way in which you do things. Like, there's a hammer pixel that you use to hammer something. There's a bomb pixel which you bomb stuff with. And those pixels have almost no real character to them whatsoever, aside from Tippy, that little butterfly thing that flies around with you. But Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is a game that so many of us have talked about on YouTube. So many people talked about wanting this game remastered. There was that whole campaign that Arlo had started years ago for Remaster Thousand Year Door. And I was one of those loud, vocal people on my Twitter, now X, that wanted this game to come back so badly. There are not enough words that explain how much I love this game and how this game is literally my entire personality. Was that enough?
No.
Well, as I say more, there's nothing that competes to a GameCube disc. I mean, you look at this, it's this beautiful disc that's like a micro disc. And you get the guidebooks and the games that they don't make anymore. You open this, and you don't have the same experience. I mean, yes, you get this map, but...
One thing I love about the Switch case is if you like here I have my cartridge in, but if on his copy, the cartridge isn't there, and under the cartridge, you have the secret character, the secret party member that you can get.
In the GameCube version, if you don't mind, you can see the entire map on the outside cover of your guidebook, which they don't make anymore. And you already get some of the images of some of the characters. And again, there's Goombella, my entire personality right there. Because I did grad school, and I'm in school again, and I'm one of those snarky people that's at school, and I'm like, if I wasn't in music, I'd be in archaeology. Go University of Goomba. You Goom, let's go!
So, there's not much more I could add to everything that Chaim has said, and this is one of those games I just have to
That is everyone's entire personality.
But being able to play a game that I loved on the GameCube and never finished, and going through it on my favorite system...
I finished it like 60 times in my GameCube.
This game was just perfect. I loved how all the party members are so much fun and so different.
Nintendo needs to give us this again.
Well, each level is just amazing storytelling. The final boss is just incredible.
And it gives you so much depth to the whole experience.
And turns that this game takes.
It takes Mario from Paper Mario and gives it so much more life. Not that that was a bad game. It was a masterpiece in so many senses. But that game was so improved on in this.
And there's nothing like watching a computer fall in love.
Nothing as wholesome as a computer falling in love with a human. Or a human falling in love with the game.
This game is just perfection. And it just perfect, just incredible that we have this.
It was an incredible game when it came out. I remember when I saw the first trailer, I lost all my marbles. Like, I'd spilled that bag, and I was like every marble on the floor. I was so ready for this.
I was watching the direct live when they announced this, and I just sent him a million screenshots, knowing he was.
I was at work, almost about to scream. Like, I had to physically go to a bathroom and scream into something because I had to scream. I was so excited. They literally gave us something we wanted, and we have to be so excited about it. But we also, as consumers, have to say, this is what we want. This is what we want to happen to Paper Mario. And this gave us characters, lore, story, and personality. Everything since then has had less and less to now no personality.
And this being the second of the 3 games that came out in a year span of the Mario RPG Renaissance on the last year of the Switch's life cycle, it's just incredible seeing this, and I can't wait to see what Mario RPG on the Switch 2 will bring us, because I would love a sequel to Paper Mario that feels like Paper Mario 1000 Year Door or Paper Mario 64, and not like the other ones.
I mean, I know that we have the Switch 2 coming, and there's certain games that get a whole new bunch of added content. I would love to have Paper Luigi, because if you knew this game, then you'd know that there's Luigi and his partner, who obviously hates Luigi for some reason. And Luigi is totally oblivious to why these characters hate him. And I think to myself, I would love hell out of Paper Luigi. That would be the best thing to happen to Paper Mario since Paper Mario happened to Paper Mario. The best thing since 1000 Year Door is 1000 Year Door. There is nothing that will ever come as close to this game right here.
So, I think we spoke enough about this.
I don't think we have, but we're going to stop for now.
Yeah, this video can only go on for so long. So, Paper Mario the 1000 Year Door, I know he's not going to let me touch that, so I'm just going to hold these. Absolute masterpiece. And let us know in the comments what you think of that, what you thought of it if you played it. And now, if you haven't played it, play it. Just play it.
That's your assignment for the rest of your life, is to play this game. I play it at least twice a year. It is my entire personality.
Okay, I think we should move on to the next game, right? So, next up, on June 27th, we got the remake of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, otherwise known in the US as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Because that was for 3DS.
In other regions it was called Luigi's Mansion 2, and the Switch port of that game, remake of that game, whatever you want to call it, from the 3DS changes the name to 2.
Just like they did with another code, they want to, I guess, standardize across the regions.
And I kind of like that. Now, I have not played the Switch version of the game.
Did you play the 3DS version?
Yes.
Did you finish it?
So, as I was saying, I played a bit. I think I played the first 1 or 2 locations. I forgot if it was mansions or whatever, buildings. But I never finished the game. I did finish it. A bit bored of it. was enjoying it, but I did get a bit bored. But as Chaim said, he finished it, so I'm just
I finished it, and
hand
I
off
thought,
this video to him and let him talk about it.
I thought, let's call it a spiritual successor to Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion for GameCube was one of those games that was just a flawless foray into what they were doing with Luigi, making Luigi this little scaredy cat with a vacuum that does all these things besides vacuum. And I thought to myself, this is a great looking game. I mean, I have a 3DS, I'm not really a handheld gamer, but I'm like, this seems like a great idea. I played it, and I felt like it was missing something. I felt like I'm going back to areas, but then there's missions. It didn't feel like as fluid of an experience as Luigi's Mansion did. I didn't feel like the bosses, or whatever boss there was, had any personality. The game had almost no personality to it. And it's the same quip I had with Paper Mario Sticker Star. There was zero personality in this game. Yes, visuals were nice, it was a cool concept, and it was a great idea for handheld. But it missed the personality. And while we're at it, Luigi's Mansion being remade for 3DS, what the hell was that? Why is that not on Switch? Like,
well, hey, at least
like
you're
as a
gonna be able
remastered game.
At least you're going to be able to play it on the Switch, too.
Yeah, I'm playing Wind Waker first. That's the first thing that my hands are touching.
He's literally buying the Switch 2 just for Wind Waker.
Exactly. This is literally why you buy a Switch 2, is because you can play GameCube's games on it. This is extremely important information if you don't already know it.
So, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, definitely one of the...
more tolerable games in the 3DS era.
in the franchise, in the sub-series. So, let us know in the comments what you thought of the game, because I do want to play the series at some point again. I only played a little bit of this on 3DS.
Just don't let it scare you away this time.
Who knows? I wasn't loving the...
Episodic structure.
No, the Poltergeist. What's the...
You don't like Polterpup?
The vacuum's called
Poltergeist.
Yeah, the Poltergeist.
3000, I guess. I know the other one was 2000.
Like that as the battle system as a whole.
I thought the original did so much better, and while Luigi's Mansion 3 was an improvement, this game was the reason Luigi's Mansion 3 happened. I feel like this was like a rough draft of what would happen.
Hopefully you don't have to wait too long for the release date of Luigi's Mansion on GameCube, Switch Online.
When is it out?
They didn't announce a date for that one yet. Okay, calm down.
I cannot calm down when we're talking about Luigi's Mansion or Thousand Year Door. Those are two things.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought of this one. And now, next up, on July 18th, we got Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. This is definitely one of the more interesting games that Nintendo released on the Switch. And it's also the only game from Nintendo this year that came with a collector or special edition.
And we have props really quickly.
Now, I have the Japanese copy here because the Japanese version of this game was just so much better, as Chaim is helping us show. So, in the US, the only way to get a physical copy of this game was if you bought it in the special edition. It came with a few things. But in the Japanese edition of the game, it came with the Nintendo Switch Famicom controllers.
Beautiful little things.
I love these controllers, and I didn't have the NES ones prior to this, and I'm
you
like...
have to dust these, actually.
Yeah.
That's your job.
I'm like, since they have the Japanese edition that comes with these...
Why would you play them with anything else?
I'm going to have to pay a little more to import the Japanese copy. Now, other regions did have the game released as a standard copy, but the US only had, as I said, only had this. It came with all the same contents, except the American one, instead of having controllers included, had a gold NES cartridge that was unplayable, just a display piece with the logo.
Do you have the gold NES cartridge?
No, I never got the US version of this. I never felt the need to.
No, when you have the Japanese version with the Famicom controllers, why would you have anything else?
Even if I saw it on sale, I wouldn't get it, and I did see it on sale. But, yeah, so... Nintendo World Championship NES Edition is a very interesting release where it takes a lot of, I think 12 or 14 NES games.
They're like micro challenges. If you've played WarioWare, you probably get the concept of these little specific things.
It's a little different where it trains you how to speedrun games. And
yeah.
I found it very interesting playing the original Super Mario Bros. How it had a bunch of small speedrunning challenges, and then after you did all those challenges, it now said, hey, now can you try to speedrun the entire game? And all those challenges taught you how to speedrun the entire game. Now, I did play a little bit from every game included in this. I didn't go through the entire thing.
That's another project for us because it's really one of
Yeah.
those games you need to play with two people.
It's fun to practice by yourself and then play. We had a lot of fun playing against each other.
Yeah, we played it like that one time. It was really fun.
Playing some of the even games that we didn't know much about.
Or know well enough.
I never really played a lot of these games on the NES. I did play all the Mario games.
My dad knew most of them. My dad definitely played it when he was in college.
We should get your dad to play this sometime.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. He'd probably find that really fun.
So, very, very fun release, and one that I really want to play more. There's a lot of online modes and local multiplayer modes, single-player modes, and it's really cool. I did find it, like, even if you do play every single mode, you have to replay some of them multiple times to be able to get enough points to unlock other challenges, which I did find a little annoying.
Just a cool game thing because you need to do that to unlock certain things. Like
if you
in Mario Kart, you have to play things and get gold to unlock things. Why would that be any different now?
If I already beat every single level available and I had to replay them all the ones I already beat multiple times just to unlock more, I found that a little bit frustrating. But it's something that I don't need to play.
I like the idea of unlockables because it gives you replayability. It makes you want to work to get something. It's like if you're a gamer and you have homework, it makes you want to do certain things. I know it does for me.
Yeah. So, Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. I wonder if we're going to see a SNES Edition on the Switch too. Or
anything's
from
possible.
This style, because it was really fun. I would also love to see them bring back NES Remix, because that's also something I always wanted to try.
How about the Mario Bros. 35th, where they had the mini game that you had for a limited time? That should have never been a limited time.
That was fun.
That was so fun. I don't get why they got rid of it. There'd be still people playing it today, I guarantee you.
It is also kind of interesting how this game doesn't let you play the full versions of the games included. I mean, all the games are available at Nintendo Switch Online if you have the membership, but it's still interesting. Like, in some of the speedrun challenges, if you try to, like, not speedrun the games and just play the games properly, it'll be like, no, you have to speedrun the game, and, like, rewind you to, like, no, you missed the shortcut, now you have to go back. It's kind of interesting how it does that.
Yeah, I guess it's training all of us to be speedrunners because we're going to be more content creators.
Stay tuned for
Stay tuned.
So, yeah, we're trying out new things, and this game was fun. So, let us know in the comments what you thought of this if you played it.
Let us know if you want to play this with us.
And now for the next game. And now for what is actually my favorite game of the year. We have what was an absolute surprise to me. Emio the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. Now, Nintendo's marketing for the announcement of this game was absolutely incredible. Just like that, like, tease on YouTube, who is Emio? And just had the internet going crazy. And then, when it was announced to be a visual novel, and the internet was just like, huh? I loved laughing so hard. But Emio the Smiling Man is the third game in the Famicom Detective Club, and the first sequel since the Famicom days. Now, Famicom Detective Club consists of two games that released back on the Famicom, and they never released in English until they were remade for the Switch. A few years back, I'm not sure, I don't remember the exact year, but unfortunately those never got a physical release in English. They did get a physical release in Japanese only, but it never got a English physical release, so I never played them. And then Emio the Smiling Man was announced, and it looked really, really cool. I was kind of excited for it, but at the same time I was like, this is the third game in the series, I haven't played the first two. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick this up right away, yada yada yada. And then they released a demo for it, and I played that demo, and I'm like, went to GameStop right away and pre-ordered it. And I did not regret that. This game absolutely blew me away. Just absolutely floored me. It is a great murder mystery visual novel, and the presentation here and the characters and the story and the music were just so incredible. And I still like think about like how Nintendo just like blindsided us with a sequel on their latest system for a game on their first system, with just such an incredible storytelling that you don't see from Nintendo, especially something so dark and gritty, is not something you see very often from Nintendo. And the visuals, the music, the presentation of this game, just playing through this game was just such a joy. And the ending. I don't think I've ever been so blown away from an ending of a game as I have from this one. And I'm not going to spoil why. I'm not going to say why, but something about this ending just blew me away. I still reel about how much this ending blew me away all these months later. What they did with this ending, how they presented the ending. This game is so freaking good, and I just we spoke before about Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, an absolute perfect Nintendo game that got remade. The games people wanted forever. And that game was such a perfect game, but there's something about this surprise and the perfection of Emio the Smiling Man that just makes this one of my favorite Switch games, definitely my favorite from the year, and one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time. And then, a few months after I played this, someone gave me a eShop gift card for the holidays, and I went, and with that I finally bought the first 2 games digitally, and I absolutely loved them. Such an incredible trilogy of games. Still very upset that those first 2 didn't get an English physical release, but I'm just happy that this one does, that I played those 2 games, and I really, really, really hope the series continues, because the storytelling in those 3 games just absolutely just peak Nintendo. Seriously, not something Nintendo does often, both with the visual novel genre and such a dark games with dark storytelling. Just 2 things Nintendo doesn't do often, and when they did it, through those 3 times that they did it, just absolute perfection. Obviously, there are other dark and mature rated Nintendo games, and are there other Nintendo visual novels? I'm not 100% sure if Nintendo really published other visual novels or developed other visual novels. I'm not 100% sure of, actually. But the Famicom Detective Club trilogy, and especially Emio the Smiling Man. Emio is my favorite of the 3. Just absolute perfection. I also have to mention that, if I forgot to mention, this game did release on August 29th. I can't remember. And in the US and Europe, there was just the standard edition of the game, while Japan got a collector edition. I previously said that Nintendo World Championship was the only collector edition of the year, and I realized that was a mistake. But it was the only game in the US that had a collector edition, even though I have the Japanese one. But this did get a Japanese collector edition, which I did not pick up myself, though. And honestly, I'm not regretting that choice, even after playing that. It was an amazing game, but the collector edition wasn't something I felt like I needed. But seriously, if you have not played Emio the Smiling Man, don't worry if you didn't play the other 2 Famicom Detective Club games and you don't want to get them since they're digital only. Don't let that stop you. Get Emio the Smiling Man, play Emio the Smiling Man, and just experience one of the best gaming experiences of your life. Seriously, serious perfection. Alright, now let's see what the next game is.
Looks like I'm back again. It's that time again.
So next up, on October 26th, we got The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Now, this is our first main Zelda game with Zelda playable in the
So it should be called Legend of Link, really.
It should be called The Legend of Link. Now, I have a Korean copy here because it came with a really cool steelbook in Korea.
You and your steelbooks.
Yes, me and my steelbooks. And Chaim has his own copy for this game as well.
What a game it was.
Now, what a game it was exactly. Now, as I've said previously in this series, I do not have a lot of experience with the Zelda games
Yes, I do.
prior to the Switch era. Now, this is the first one, besides for... Well, the first one of this style that I played. The, top-down-ish
So you never
style.
played Link's Awakening?
No.
I thought you loved your 2D games.
I still never played Link's Awakening.
You need to play Link's Awakening.
I want to play Link's Awakening. So I guess I still haven't played any traditional
You have
Zelda
a
games.
lot of assignments in Zelda.
Because this is not even a traditional Zelda game, where here you're playing with Zelda, who doesn't fight normally directly, so she uses echo abilities, and it's a lot of fun puzzling out all the different scenarios with all the different echoes you can get.
Remember, you can literally solve all your problems with a bed. That's what I learned in life, is you can solve everything with a bed.
Yes, taking naps in the middle of a boss battle is just like how you do things.
Yeah, but you can't do that at work.
Yeah, I know. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I tried that at work, and I had a kid draw markers all over my face.
Oh, that's a shame. So, being able to, make echoes of any enemy you defeat, or objects you find in the world. It's just really fun exploring this world. I did finish the game and beat the final boss. I didn't like 100% and get all the items or all the echoes, but I did really enjoy it.
I thought the game had a lot of concepts because I separated it as a game from other games. But then I realized, because there's this ability to move objects with your Tri-Wand, I also really realized this felt very similar to Breath of the Wild and Tears, and that's not a good thing. It felt like if Link's Awakening, which I haven't played but I've seen enough people playing online, suddenly decided to get some elements of Breath of the Wild and Tears, which were not my favorite games, to say the least.
So it's very interesting how it took the old style Zelda games and combined it with the new style, and it did make me even more interested in trying out some of the traditional games. And, Zelda is one series that just going to be eternally
It's a series
on my
that
backlog.
so many people have played, and it's the hallmark in so many games that it's like, if you're looking for a story in games, it's the game that is the gold standard. And you need to play more of them, and you will play more of them, and you will like it.
I will. Maybe.
Thank you.
Now, I loved the charm of this game, the world, the story,
It did have charm.
the music,
And
the
great music.
environments.
But it was lacking some heft, which a lot of Zelda games as of late have been lacking. And Age of Calamity wasn't lacking that heft. But Breath and Tears felt very empty, and this game also felt similarly quite empty. And, well, just like most games, the theme is I haven't finished it yet, but I'm close to finishing it. And I think it has a great story. It still has more story than Breath of the Wild, and still more story than Tears of the Kingdom, which is saying something. It's like Nintendo actually listened to us. And if you're listening to us, give us better Zelda games with an actual story and better dungeons.
I like the story in this. The final boss and final dungeon was a lot of fun. I was almost about to say that I thought you did finish it, but then I realized I was talking to my coworker about that. Not
Yeah.
her.
I would have told you if I finished it.
Yeah.
Like, if I finish a Zelda game, I don't stop talking about it for like a week.
The final boss in this was a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
I'm loving all the side quests in it, and I love that there are side quests in it. I also like that you can track them, but it felt, again, too much like Breath of the Wild, too much like Tears of the Kingdom, and that was my only criticism of this game. But when I separated it from those two, I thought, it's not a bad game, but it would feel a lot more unique if I hadn't played either of those.
I did start playing this game at launch, and then, not too long later, we got a game that had to supersede anything I was playing. So I did take a long break from it, but then I did go back a few months later and finish the game, and I loved it. It was really, really good, and I need to play more Zelda. I'll probably play Link's Awakening on the Switch next, especially on the Switch 2. It's supposed to run better. And have some updates.
Yeah, but you might have other assignments.
Well, we'll see what happens. So, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. If you play this game, let us know what you thought of it in the comments. And let's
Do you think they
discuss
should
it.
rename it to The Legend of Link? I do.
They should. So now, let's put this one away and see what's next. So, next, on October 17th, we got Super Mario Party Jam...
And that's my copy. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to let him talk about all this, so I'm just going to say
Again, I have played every Mario Party for the console since it came out on the N64. I loved that this took a lot of ideas from Mario Party Superstars and the other Mario Parties, and it gave us that same idea, but it still gave us new content and added more to that content, and I loved it. I also love that they gave us two boards that were like throwback boards, like Western Land and Mario's Rainbow Castle. I hope that this starts a theme of Mario parties having boards from previous games. I loved it. And just like Mario Party 3 onwards, you kind of have like a story mode that's like separate from things. Maybe it's not always hefty, but there's like serious Mario Party lore out there.
I did really enjoy the single-player mode in this game. Like this... It's story mode.
You could like decorate your plaza. You could like go help everyone set up things, and you have to get certain scores in mini games.
It was a lot of fun.
It improved the way. It actually kind of ruined the way I like the partners in this, because your partners are temporary, and in the other game your partners were like, you could get like up to 2 more. If you remember.
I don't remember.
Like in Super Mario Party, which was a bad game, like an actual bad game. This game was great. Has a lot of replayability. It's a game that honestly sets the bar very high for what Mario Party can be in the 2020s. It reminds me so much of what I loved about GameCube era Mario Party. And I'd love to see some of those boards, some 4, 5, 6, and 7, especially 5 and 6, where there were some beautifully designed boards and great concepts. I really hope we see more Mario Party on Switch 2, and we maybe get like a yearly release every year. Because I remember back in the day, you had a new Mario Party basically every year. You always knew every holiday season you'd get a new Mario Party.
So talking about the Switch 2, since I don't have my own copy of this game, are you planning on buying the Switch 2 edition of the game? Are you planning on buying a new physical for that? Are you planning on just buying the upgrade, or are you just like not planning on getting it?
Probably going to buy the upgrade, but I don't know or understand really the key card or the new card situation. It's so poorly explained, and Nintendo should issue better explanations of this.
Yeah. So
with videos, with words and text and an explanation.
So first off, it is not a key card, the Switch 2 edition. We'll say that up. You know, we're recording this prior to the Switch 2 release, and especially prior to the release of the Switch 2 edition of Mario Party, which is coming out, I think, a month and a half after the Switch 2 release. And from my current understanding, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition games are going to be a Switch 2 style case with the red plastic instead of the clear plastic, with a Nintendo Switch 1 cartridge. And the cartridge is, if you put it in the Switch 1, it's just like this regular Switch 1 game, but if you put it in the Switch 2, you get all the added Switch 2 content. Access to it, but that content and those upgrades won't work on the Switch 1.
I find that very confusing.
I actually kind of love that. It's a little confusing, but I love that.
I might buy it again, but I want to inflate the numbers of Mario Party, because Mario Party is a great series. It's way better than Mario Kart, because the game breaks up the tension of what's going on the board with, here's a minigame.
I love Mario Kart way more than Mario Party, but I did have a lot of fun playing this, solo with a single player mode, playing.
If you want to talk about games that ruin friendships, Mario Kart doesn't ruin friendships, Mario Party ruins friendships.
Like, I hate some of the things that this guy did to me in this game.
I love some of the things I did in this game. At least you didn't win.
He would rather a computer win than me. He doesn't even try to win himself. He just tries to make sure I don't win.
I actually do try to win, and I have no holds barred when I play Mario Party. Like, I am on it like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. And
is that a spoiler for the new Donkey Kong Bonanza?
I don't know. And going back to the Switch 2 edition of this game, I actually played some of those modes when I got to go to the Nintendo Switch 2 experience in New York.
Do you think they justify buying it again?
I don't know about buying a completely new copy, but for the upgrades, I'd say fine. I'd say yeah. I'd say maybe.
Because it'd be nice to have like an actual Switch 2 library, not just the Hall of Fame for Switch games.
Now, I already do have the Nintendo Switch 2 camera ordered and paid for as of recording of this, and I did play some of the camera modes of this game. And it was a lot of fun playing it with 3 random people at the event.
That's exactly what Mario Party is for 3 random people.
And I had a lot of fun with with that mode. It definitely was interesting. It definitely wasn't very in-depth. But I had
Mario
a lot
Party,
of fun.
there's really no need for depth in it.
And later on, I also got to try the mouse mini games. And some of those were really, really fun. I didn't really have people to play those against, but...
You have me when it comes out.
They were awesome. I played like 3 or 4 of the mouse mini games, and I loved them. There's one where you have like bumper cars where you have to like pull back the cars and launch them, and you bump into each other, knock each other off the track. There's ones where you have to like move Toad through like an obstacle course.
I'm so tired of Toad right now. Please don't say the T word. Every time I hear the word Toad, immediately I think about Sticker Star, Color Splash, or Origami King, and I think of how there's way too many Toads that all look the same. I have like post-traumatic Toad disorder.
So, yeah, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this one, and what your favorite mini games and boards are, and let's discuss this.
Everyone knows it's going to be Western Land, because we all like a good old hootenanny.
I actually love the Islands one, whatever, I forgot what it was called.
You mean Goomba?
Yeah.
Lagoon?
Yeah, Goomba Lagoon. Now, talking about Too Many Toads, next up on November 7th, we got what is probably my most anticipated game from this year, Mario and Luigi Brothership. Now, I have both ESRB copies. I sold my UK copy to someone else then. I got a European copy because it got a steelbook, and I was ecstatic that this game got a steelbook because I love my steelbooks, and Mario and Luigi series is to me what Paper Mario is to Chaim. Where
Is it your entire personality, though?
okay, maybe not that much, but I picked up used at GameStop when I was a kid. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Game
That was
Boy
a great
Advance,
game.
and I fell in love with that game.
I love that game. It was a great game. It stands out as one of the best handheld games I've ever played, actually.
It is then, unfortunately the series was never able to live up to the heights of that game. In my opinion, other people will differ on that opinion. And then a couple years later, I got a Nintendo DS way after the game released, but I picked up Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, and I fell in love with that game. And this is a very unpopular opinion, but Partners in Time is my favorite from the series.
Superstar Saga is great because the
I'm
game
not
was
kidding.
awful.
I'm
I
not-
have Fury.
Fawful, I Have Fury is just perfection. Fawful is perfection.
That is like
And
a meme right
Fawful's cameo in Partners in Time was perfection. I loved Partners in Time. I never ended up finishing Superstar Saga. I could not be the final boss when I was a kid. I did beat it later on the 3DS version of the game. And then when Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story came out, I picked that up. I don't know if I picked it up the day it released, but I picked it up very close to launch. And I did not put that game down until I finished it.
I actually will play the handheld versions of these games at some point. I might actually consider playing them this summer, depending, but we'll see.
Bowser's Inside Story took the series into a new direction and gave Bowser as a main playable character with a massively in-depth story.
We need more Bowser games. Let's just at least acknowledge that.
And the humor and the writing in that game and the return of Fawful in that game was so good.
But Bowser has so much personality. In every game, he's basically a 16-year-old girl having a meltdown at her sweet 16. Let's be real.
He always talks about how Bowser needs better games, but he has not played Bowser's Inside Story.
No, I talk about how Bowser needs his own games, like a
but he
pure
still
Bowser game.
has not played Bowser's Inside Story.
I will play it at some point. Maybe very soon. We'll see.
And then the only thing I don't like about Bowser's Inside Story is it introduced the worst thing about the series, which are the giant battles. I did not love them in that game when I was younger. I tolerated them. But then the next game on the 3DS, which I didn't buy 3DS at launch, I bought it years later, so I only played the game years after it came out.
I bought it years later, too. I remember the very first game I played on that was Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Mario and Luigi Dream Team made me rage quit that game. I was so mad while playing that game.
You have my sympathy.
I did not like that game at all, and I quit in the middle. The Dream Luigi, I did not like Dream Luigi. I did not like the way it split up the brothers there. I did not like how it took out what made the two different playstyles with Bowser in 3D, Mario and Luigi in 2D, and just ruined it with the Dream worlds.
Speaking of rage quitting, I did that same thing in my replay on Switch Online of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and I used one of those, create a save point, and I did something so stupid and I lost a lot of progress, and I'm like, you know what, I'm rage quitting this
and
now.
The Dreamy Luigi Giant Battles made me so mad. I put the game down. A couple years later, I was like, I'm playing through the entire series, so I picked it. I did get through the game, and I tolerated it a lot more.
But let's talk about actual brothership, because it was such a great game so far.
Then the next game on the 3DS for the Mario Luigi was Mario Luigi Paper Jam, or Paper Jam Bros if you're in the Europe. And while a lot of people say it's the worst game in the series, I did like it a lot more than Dream Team because it took out the giant battles. The game was...
They misrepresented Paper Mario in that game.
The game was rough. I did love having Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario in the battles. I did love the team-up.
But they misrepresented Paper Mario in that whole game.
And there were way too many Toads in that game. Way too many Toads.
I have post-traumatic Toad disorder. Let's not say that name. Please.
But...
that is the thing that shall not be named.
At the end of the day, when I finished playing that game, I really liked it. And it was really fun, like, one of the moments where Bowser, pits Paper Peach in a cage and Peach just, slips right out. And he's like, how did you escape? I love that moment. And then, unfortunately, after that, they just remade Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story on the 3DS.
And it was so bad that Alpha Dream died.
And those remakes were amazing. Remakes. I don't know why they had to do Bowser's Inside Story because it was playable on the DS. Those remakes were amazing where the added content was okay, but then, unfortunately, Alpha Dream shut down after that. And I was sad because
Probably because those games are so bad.
the remakes weren't that bad.
You always harp on me about how Superstar Saga and the 3DS remake loses a lot of personality.
The art style, I hated the new art. I hated that it moved it to the modern art style. But otherwise, the game is amazing, and I beat the game in that version. I didn't beat the Game Boy
You
version.
never beat the Game Boy
I
version.
never beat the Game Boy Advance version.
I thought you did. You had me thinking all these years that you actually
No,
beat
I
that
only
game.
beat it on the 3DS version.
Well, now you need to go play the original Game Boy Advance version on Switch Online, and you need to beat it now.
I started it already.
How far are you into it?
I focus more on games I haven't played. Anyways, when this game got announced, I was over the moon with excitement.
I was so excited because I saw the trailer and I immediately thought, this is a great art style. It is Nintendo playing to their strengths with cool concepts, a great art style, and something that is definitely uniquely Mario, but a Mario and Luigi spin, literal spin.
And the game was, I'm going to use the words, a disappointing masterpiece. Where it brought back so many elements of this series that I loved, with a beautiful adventure with the two brothers, an amazing cast of characters in a new land that was not just the Mushroom Kingdom over and over and over, but there were some changes in the game that just messed it up for me.
What's like one of them?
The fact that when you're using Luigi in battles, in the menu you do not use the B, you still use the A when selecting what move you want to do, then you have to switch to the B. The fact that in the overworld Luigi is walking too far behind Mario and it feels like he's almost an NPC and not a cohesive unit with Mario. The fact that you rarely control Luigi directly. Superstar Saga, you had to constantly choose who was in front based off which moves you wanted to do. The different moves in this game, just for the overworld moves, were a little bit down. Now, the in-battles itself, when you're fighting with them, I loved the battles.
And the 3D
Absolutely
the 3D style of the art was incredible. And the fact that there's a lot of good cutscenes in it, too.
The cutscenes were great. The art style took a little bit to grow on me, but it grew on me hard, and I
already
loved the
knew
art style.
Right away, before I even bought the game, that I was going to love this.
And I'm just so happy that this game exists, and I loved playing through it. The story is pretty good. The game does drag a little too much towards the end, but overall I really like the story. And
dragging isn't a bad thing in a game. I like a game that...
You don't get to the end of this game, so you'll see what dragging is like at the end of this game. But some of the characterizations, I want a sequel to this with Buddy and Bowser Jr. We had the other modes in the other games. Now we just need a game, just an adventure with Buddy and Bowser Jr. in this game. Those two characters, their dynamic made this game so amazing for me.
We need a game with literally just Bowser. Peach has her own, Luigi has his own, Toad has his own. When is Bowser going to have his own game? Like, I know, like, Bowser's Fury is, like, some content.
Bowser's Fury is not Bowser's game, it's Mario's game.
Yeah, I know, but, like, it gives you a misleading title.
Not really.
I think it does.
Alright.
But, like, imagine, like, Bowser having a meltdown trying to kidnap Princess Peach, and he finally does, and he realizes it wasn't worth it.
And Peach and the Idol gang in this were so much fun. Connie and Snoutlet, all the characters in this game.
They had actual emotions.
So
they had
good.
Personalities, too, what I've seen so far.
I really, really, really loved this game, even though it was rough around the edges. Just the fact that it exists made me so happy, and I really want to see the series continue. And as I mentioned prior, the Mario RPG renaissance that the Switch gave us in the last year, starting with an amazing remake of an old classic that we didn't know we would ever see. A remake.
They want to go out with a bang. It's very obvious they want to do fan service.
And how that Super Mario RPG, the continuation split the Mario RPG series into two directions, where you had Paper Mario on the home consoles, Mario Luigi on the handhelds, and then you got the remake of the first one with Mario RPG, an amazing remake, followed by an absolutely perfect remake of the best Mario RPG with Thousand Year Door.
Thousand Year Door, the best game of the year.
And then a new entry in my favorite series, returning to the form and taking away the changes that the 3DS era made. Which the 3DS era changed for the worse, both the Mario Luigi series and the Paper Mario series.
As we're nearing this video, I think it's so important to acknowledge that Thousand Year Door was such a great continuation of a series, and it has a legacy that has endured through many of us dedicated fans and people who love our GameCubes. But Super Paper Mario did not achieve what Thousand Year Door achieved. It does not have that posterity that people love it so much. I mean, maybe more people technically bought it, but not everyone enjoyed that game.
I would love...
And then you look at Sticker Star and Color Splash, there's no one talking about that now. People still talk about the first two, and that's what people wanted. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time.
Now, I can't wait to see where the Mario RPG franchises continue
I do
on the
as well.
Switch 2. I really, really, really hope that we get new entries in the Mario Luigi series, the Paper Mario series, and I would even love to see like a successor to the Super Mario RPG style, and have those all three different JRPG styles in the Mario franchise. Will just be so amazing if we get that on the Switch 2. And this game,
most importantly, with less toads. That's, again, less toads. Thank you.
there were like a okay amount of toads in this one, but still a little too much.
Yeah, but there's nothing as egregious as what happened in Sticker Star, which I will force you to play. I will literally glue a 3DS to your hands and you will play it. You will endure the horrors that I endured. You have to endure my horror.
Help.
When I wake up at 3 in the morning, I am traumatized by how bland
Help me!
this game was.
Which one?
Sticker Star.
Not this. This one was awesome.
This game was great.
If they just like fix up everything wrong with this game in the next one, I would just be like perfection.
No, I think they should just do like an exact follow-up of it in the same exact style, the same exact everything.
But just like less like slog.
I think personally they should have the plugs last longer, because in like
I will
Mario
say
Luigi,
the
you could
plugs,
pick
no,
badges and accessories and pants that went with things.
The plug
but
system was a lot of fun. And
I didn't like that they ran out, because like in Mario Luigi,
once you got far enough in the game, you had so many plugs that you never felt like you were running out of plugs.
I do feel like I run out of plugs where I am right now.
Yeah, the earlier hours of the game, but that's okay. I think.
What I loved about Thousand Year Door and
battle
Paper Mario was
system,
the badges actually mattered, and you had them the whole time. And maybe not all badges were effective, but they actually made a difference in your gameplay. These plugs aren't so gameplay changing because they run out, and you don't have to.
The one thing I love about the Mario Luigi series is the battles where you have to press the buttons at the right time when you're landing on the enemies. The brothers jumping off each other, using their hammers against each other, and dodging the enemies. Even though
What about Luigi Logic? We almost forgot about that.
Luigi Logic was okay.
Luigi's expressions that changed
The
every time.
expressions were perfection. The
Luigi
animations
has so
were
much
perfection.
emotion.
But I just don't like that this game made Luigi feel like a secondary character versus the other ones he was as main of a character as Mario. That's just one thing that...
I mean, technically speaking, their last name is Mario, right?
Yeah, I know.
So Mario, Luigi, Mario.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Kratos being John Kratos.
Also, will never be anything as iconic as the opening to Superstar Saga.
Exactly.
When Toad running into Mario's shower.
Yeah, nothing will
Toad,
ever...
red face coming running out.
Nothing will ever compete to getting a mail call from Carey at Mario and Luigi's house, and you're going out to get a letter, and it turns out that Princess Peach is on a faraway island, and she's bought a map, and she sent it to you, and there's so much stuff, and I realize, that's Thousand Year Door. This is the game that's going to define my entire life, and I was just 12 years old at that time.
So, Mario Luigi Brothership. Let us know in the comments what you thought of it if you played it, because I would love to discuss this with more people. And this was also, as of recording of this video, as of before the release of the Switch 2.
As of May 18th, right now.
May 18th, and also just, because this series of videos was to, leading up to the launch of the Switch 2. While there's still more videos to talk about, there's still more games to talk about in this video, this is the last original Nintendo Switch game to release before the Switch 2. Afterwards, when we're going to discuss them in a little bit, there are going to be some new original games for the Switch 1 after the release of the Switch 2. But this is the last original
But those games
game.
will be ported to Switch 2, I'm very convinced.
Yeah, I'm saying, most of them...
They wanted to end with a bang. Like, 2024 was literally one of the best years for
This isn't even the last game from 2024, but this is the last original game.
It was the last game from 2024 that I actually played.
And we're going to continue talking about the other ones, so let's go on to that.
Thank you so much for watching our videos. If you like, subscribe, and follow, it really helps us out.
We're not done yet. This video's not done yet.
I know, but my contribution is done.
Yes, thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that.
Thank you, Chaim. And would you like to give a shout out to your new project that I'm going to be in?
We
also?
are actually launching a new project called the Hasidic Gamers, where we are going to do something similar to this, but with more reviews, more content, and focus on banter. We'll do some live streaming, we'll do reactions, we'll have friends over and react with them, but it's mostly us making games more accessible and focusing on actual playing the games and less about unboxing the games.
The Slip and Switch channel is going nowhere. I'm still gonna be doing plenty of unboxings.
And also be making appearances.
And I'm trying out some new content for this channel, but I'm also gonna be a lot on our new channel that we are doing together. This video project was also kind of a test run to see how the banter between us goes and the flow between us goes. And so,
if you want to get a taste of that, we're on Instagram as the Hasidic Gamers. We are on X as, again, the Hasidic Gamers. Give us a follow, and one or both of us will be responding to you. If you want to say something, tweet at us. If you want to say something, comment on our Instagram or slide into our DMs.
Not at publishing of this video, but a little bit after this video gets published, I am going to be adding into the link tree below links to all the Hasidic Gamer channels.
And we'll be making a separate one for that too, but we'll link back to this as well.
So now let's move on to the next game. Thank you,
Chaim,
for joining me on this project.
You're welcome.
And now for the last game that Nintendo published in 2024. It is a game that is from a third-party developer, but they were the ones that published it. We got, on December 5th, Fitness Boxing 3. Now, this being the last game of 2024 is not the last game to talk about in this video, so stay tuned. Fitness Boxing 3. I really enjoyed Fitness Boxing 1 and 2. I return to them every once in a while I'm not feeling super lazy. But I haven't actually started playing the third one yet. I will at some point. I'm just assuming it's just an expansion on what made Fitness Boxing 1 and 2 good games. With more music, better graphics, maybe some more outfits and trainers. Just more of the same is what I'm expecting from this. And there's nothing wrong with that, because these games are a lot of fun and definitely get you moving a little bit. And yeah, just a good trilogy of games. So it'll be interesting to see if this series continues on the Switch too. But if you played the Fitness Boxing games, let me know, because I'm going to repeat, which I probably said previously, the Fitness Boxing, there's 5 games currently on the Switch. Fitness Boxing 1, 2, and 3. All the games are by Imagineer. But Fitness Boxing 1, 2, and 3 are directly published by Nintendo, while Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star and Fitness Boxing Hatsune Miku are published by Axis Games. So only the numbered entries are Nintendo published games. So that's why they're appearing in this video. Alright, so if you played Fitness Boxing 3, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and let's discuss the game, or the series as a whole. So that brings 2024 to a close. That was a really, really, really interesting year for Nintendo. While every game that they released, there was no main games that are heavy hitter genres. There was a lot of side games. Whether it being remakes of older games, big franchises getting spin-off entries, or even main entries in big series having something new to them. It was a very interesting year, and probably one of my favorite years. If I'm going to, years down the line when I'm looking at what released every year, this year will probably be my favorite year, with another Code Recollection being one of my favorite games, Thousand Year Door remake, the NES Championship bringing something cool to the table, Echoes of Wisdom, Brothership Jamboree, and of course my absolute favorite, Emio the Smiling Man. Wow, this year was just banger year. And closing out the last full year of Switch games, Nintendo did a great job. I love Nintendo so much. And now, let's go on to 2025. Because it's not that long, so we're just including it with 2024. So, the first game of 2025 we got on January 16th, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Now, this game is a port of both the Wii game and the expanded game on the 3DS, and it takes elements from both of the games, and it gives us a really cool package. And I played a bit of this game on the 3DS, got through the first few worlds, and then just stopped playing the game. You know, Donkey Kong games were never something I fell in love with, even though I do love 2D Marios. Something about Donkey Kong just is not my vibe. I don't know why. But maybe I'll give it another go with this release, because they are fun. I did enjoy it. And I've just heard amazing things about this game. So, yeah. Port of both the Wii and the 3DS. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it if you played it, because it looks good, so maybe I have to give it another go. And for the last game that released from Nintendo prior to the Switch 2 release, so I guess this is really the last true Switch exclusive game, or is it exclusive? Not really, because we got, on March 20th, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. This port of the Wii game brings the entire Xenoblade Chronicles franchise home to the Switch, and what an incredible ride Xenoblade Chronicles had on the Switch. Just with, 2 ports and 2 new games, the entire franchise is just incredible, and the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy is one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. I do have here the English version, but Korea did have a steelbook for the game. Unfortunately, there was no collector edition for this game, and it's really disappointing because I love the collector editions I have for Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, and I just have this. I don't have the Wii U collector edition. Maybe if I ever see it for a good price, I'll pick it up. I do have a Wii U copy of the game, even though I don't own a Wii U, but yeah. So Xenoblade Chronicles X is a very different game from the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, where a lot of the battle systems feel the same, but the world is a very different world. The way the game presented is a lot less story-focused. It does have a story, but it's a lot more open-ended and a lot more... not open-ended in the story, but just less focus on the story. And to be honest, I played this for a little bit, and then I just got sidetracked, and I haven't played enough of this game yet. Which is kind of bad, because I was super hyped for this game. So excited when it got announced for the Switch finally, and I didn't give it enough time because life just gets in the way, and then you get 100-line Last Defense Academy, and you don't know what exists anymore because you're just stuck on that, trying to get all 100... Anyways, we're not talking about that because we're talking about Nintendo games right now. So I'm definitely going to get back to this game and play through it. The fact that it's not as story-focused definitely made me lose a little bit more focus on the game, because that's generally how I like to play my games. So I did really, really, really enjoy exploring the world of Mira, and I need to get back to it, just dive more into it, and get used to the differences that this game is. Get used to that this game is a different game than the Xenoblade trilogy, because it very much is a different game. So, yeah, so for the first 2 games that were released so far in 2025, were both ports of other games, so no new original games for the Switch yet. And this is really the end of the era for the Switch releases, as we'll talk about in a minute. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun making this series of videos. And just going through the Switch library, which was just absolutely incredible. The Switch isn't over yet. We're still getting more for the Switch. But it's truly the end of an era for Nintendo Switch exclusives, from ports, remakes, original games, side games, just so much. The output that Nintendo has given us just themselves. Nintendo published games on the Switch was just incredible. I don't even count how many there are, but I did a whole video doing them, and I don't even have a final number. But just absolutely insane how many games Nintendo gave us physically, because I didn't even go for the digital exclusives, because that's a whole nother ballgame. And I focus on physical media. Just the amount that Nintendo has given us, just incredible. I also forgot to say that this game does have a completely new, post-game expanded story, which, if you played the Wii U original, there's all that extra content for you, and they massively changed the battle system, apparently, from the Wii U version that I've heard people say. It's just like playing a completely different game. So, yeah, so 2025 so far, Nintendo's been off to a great start, and they're not over yet because later on in 2025 we got Metroid Prime 4 coming, we got Pokemon Legends ZA coming, and while those games are coming to the Switch, they're different from these because those games will have Nintendo Switch 2 editions that have exclusive content or exclusive updates. You know, the Metroid Prime 4 has, you know, the mouse aiming. It has 4K. It has 120 FPS, while the Switch version doesn't have that. And I don't know if we are going to be getting any more Nintendo Switch exclusive games because, you know, the two that we know are coming in 2025 have Nintendo Switch 2 editions, and I'm just going to assume that, you know, further games will have Nintendo Switch 2 editions because it just makes sense for Nintendo to do that. Now, we do have Nintendo Switch games announced for 2026 already. We have Rhythm Haven Groove, which I am so excited for. I've never played Rhythm Heaven games properly, and I always wanted to, and I'm going to be playing Rhythm Heaven Groove. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, another Nintendo Switch game announced for 2026. I'm just assuming both of those are going to have Nintendo Switch 2 editions, so those will be different. And I'm still going to be collecting Nintendo Switch games and picking up Nintendo first-party releases. Even though they have Switch 2 editions, I'll probably still pick up the Switch 1 versions, so I have the nice matching cases and the cartridges for the Switch 1. If I actually want to play them, I'll just buy an upgrade for the Switch 2. You know, the money's the same, so yeah, it's really exciting coming into the Switch 2 era and looking back about all the incredible releases that we got over this fantastic era for Nintendo and all the games that I've played, all the games that I still need to play. It's going to be fun going through this, and my focus on the Switch, even with the Switch 2 releasing, I'm still going to be massively focusing on the Switch library and not collecting nearly as much for the Switch 2 as I have for the Switch. But we got some Switch 2 games coming that are really exciting. I had the opportunity to play Metroid Prime 4, the demo at the Nintendo Switch preview event, but I did not. The lines were too big, and I just didn't have the patience to sit and wait for a game that I wasn't super excited for anyway. Legends ZA, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be playing that day one or not. I'm going to see closer to the time where my gaming life is holding and what's going on. But I know that the Switch 2 era is going to be amazing for Nintendo, and who knows, maybe towards the end of the Switch 2 era, I'll make a sequel series to this going through all the Switch 2 games. But I'm not planning on buying as many, so I probably won't be able to do that. So, talk about Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Donkey Kong Bonanza coming for the Switch 2. I did play that. It was fun, but seeing the initial launch reveal trailer for that, I wasn't 100% sure if I was even going to play the game. And playing the demo, like, kind of convinced me that I don't want to buy the game. And I'm not saying that because it was bad, it's just that not something that I was enjoying in my personal gaming tastes and want to spend the money on when I'm still trying to focus on the Switch 1 era. So, yeah, I'm going to bring this video to a close, and if you stuck around for the series, you know, if this is the first part you're seeing, all the previous videos are going to be linked in the description below, so you can check them out. And if you watched the entire series and what came on this journey with me, thank you so much for watching as much as you did, whether it was just some of it or all of it, or you skipped around and see what's going on. Just, if you watched it, just thank you for whatever you did watch. And let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite games from the Switch era? What are some of your favorite games of 2024 and 2025? Whether it be Nintendo Switch games that were spoke about in this video, third-party games that we didn't speak about, games on other systems. Because there are so many incredible games and not enough time to get through all of them. So it's just fun to talk about games. So let's discuss games in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, ring the bell for notifications on future videos. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Have a good one. Bye.